I started a joke, which started the whole world crying. By the Bee Gees. That just popped in my head now. This week's book is what had me go down a small rabbit hole on the internet because I was sure the last name is pronounced Nguyen. I did live in Eastern Europe, but I wanted to say in East LA, where there's a huge population of different groups of Asians, among which are Vietnamese. I believe this is a popular Vietnamese last name, Nguyen. So I thought I looked it up already, and it was Nguyen. And I actually know someone, at least I used to know them, who was associated with this last name. And I think I may have asked them. But now on the internet, one girl said, whose last name is Nguyen, said it's... The way I didn't learn anything in that 1.5-minute episode, I still don't even know what the heck she said. Because it's just a regular influencer type person who knows how to just keep talking without saying anything and talk as long as possibly they can. So, oh my gosh. She said something like, Nguyen. It was very singaholic. And it sounded like she wasn't saying it herself. Every time she said it, it sounded like she was inserting something in there. No pun intended. And then I went on YouTube, and a girl there who was standing in front of what looks like somewhere in Asia. I'm like, man, you had to go through all this trouble. Just freaking, I wish someone... Anyway, so that girl said, in the north we're saying, wing. In the south we're saying, wang. Something to that effect. But it sounds like the N is like, type. Now, welcome to Babbling Brook Club. The book's title is Don't Believe Everything You Think. I thought it's the perfect book. Book. Sorry, am I making a mistake? For someone like me who can be stuck in their thoughts a lot. So I was like, all right, tell me, what do you want to tell me about not believing everything I thought? Let me tell you, apparently this book was released for the first time possibly in the 80s. That's what it says somewhere in the start of the book. Because you know how a lot of authors, at least the books that I read or listen to, in the beginning, it always sounds like they're promoting their work, which, hey, do what you have to do, boo. So and he was like, when I first released this book I think he said in the 80s. But now I just looked him up in hopes that he will say, hi, everybody, this is Joseph Nguyen, just to say it how it's said, at least how his last name is pronounced. Because, you never know. My last name, some of my extended family members, they don't go by Brooke. Their last name is Brukwe, Brukwe. So it can get interesting. And then some people, they just call themselves Brooks, which is okay. I personally, it doesn't bother me. I'm not those people who are particular about my name, like, oh, you said it wrong. Or they'll say babal, or they'll say babalo, or papalo, which sounds like there's a P there when you listen to it. It doesn't bother me how it's fine, whatever. So, yeah, he didn't say his name in that video. He just started talking right away. And he looks way too young for someone who released a book in the 80s. But what do I know? Apparently, this was a re-whatever of the book. the one that I got my hands on. Did I learn anything from this book off the bat? Let's see. I didn't learn anything new from the book, but I'm glad I listened to it. I used the audio version. I'm glad I listened to it. To me, it was it's very short, by the way, so if you want to check it out, don't even worry. You'll be done in an afternoon, tops. It talks about how you're thinking. There's a difference between a thought and thinking. Not T-H-O-T. That hoe over there. Or should I say that bleep over there? It's, so a thought is something I believe that comes into your mind. I believe that's what he said. And then thinking is something that you do yourself. So if somebody, for example, asks you, what is the one thing that you wish you would do, but you just haven't gotten around to it, that thought will come to your mind. And that is pure. And then right with that, you will start thinking about it. And then perhaps your mood will shift in a downward spiral because now you're thinking about why you haven't gotten around to it. It's far-fetched. I don't have the funds. I don't have the time. It's not for someone like, you know what I mean? And then you attach all of that to the thought. And now your thinking is making you crazy. She drives you crazy. So something along those lines is basically what the book is about. It could have been a paragraph, the whole book, is what I'm trying to tell you. But I would recommend it. A lot of these self-help books, for a connoisseur like me, who has been into self-help stuff since I was a child, I used to lock myself up in a room and just read. I would read religious books. I would read Christian Science books, all kinds of books. It's neither here nor there. I would just read it. And then when I started getting hold of magazines, however I could, because we didn't have money for food. So the last thing my family was buying were magazines. So then I would start reading. Then I would read, of course, the whole thing. But I loved like the self-help stuff, and I got really into that whole stuff. And it helped me be confident. We can do a whole TED Talk about that. Brook Talk. You know those articles on like Glamour magazine, especially on, is it the Cosmopolitan? They advise like girls how to this and how to whatever. You know they help you out, like if you're a teenager especially. You're just trying to find yourself and your groove in life, and they'll tell me like how to be confident. I used to read those things. I'd be like, make eye contact, and I was scared to look people in the eye, etc. So that's what I mean by all that. So it's very rare that I'll come across a self-help book that's going to be different from anything I've come across before. But it helps because it's not everything that you've learned that you will apply right away or ever. So it's like a refresher's course. That's why I would recommend this book. He says something about PAUSE, which is an acronym for when, I guess, you're finding yourself not loving what you're thinking about, or maybe just to check in with yourself, because we're always thinking about something, aren't we? Oh, by the way, he advocates not thinking. So, I mean, good luck with that. He's not even talking, he's talking about not thinking. And I'm thinking about like, what about overthinking? What about intrusive thoughts? Okay. So he says, try not to think. If you catch yourself thinking, especially, negative thoughts, that's where the pause comes in. And then he goes on to what the P stands for and whatever. But basically, check in with yourself. Ask yourself if this thought is benefiting you in any way. Are you feeling good thinking these thoughts, or are you not? And you must also know that you can always pencil a thought, and no pressure. It really is kind of like meditation, but like not necessarily being stationary and being legit into meditation, but it is a form of meditation, is how I interpret it, because I was walking and listening to this book, and I kept having to remind myself to breathe. I tend to, I don't know if I mean, of course, breathing is something natural that you don't notice that you're breathing because it's as easy as breathing. However, whenever I try to check in with myself, I will have to take a deep breath. It's as if I wasn't breathing. Or I will go on a certain number of minutes and catch myself going, as if all along I was holding my breath. So I don't know if that's an anxiety thing or a stress thing. You know what I mean? So I would have to, I once hooked up with a guy. In fact, he hooked up with me. Just kidding. He would always say to me, "You're not breathing." Or he'd say, "Breathe." And it was so interesting, but he also said a lot of shit. So who knows what the fuck is going on there. But for me, it was something that resonated because I know that I always have to remind myself to breathe. So this guy, Joseph, talks about being present with your thoughts and being selective with your thoughts, and you don't have to necessarily be thinking about anything, to be going over anything. That's not necessarily going to change the trajectory of your plans just because you're thinking about it. And he says, like, people are like, wait, but if I am not thinking, how am I going to be productive? I need to think about things. And he says, no, in fact, you'll be more productive if you don't spend a lot of time draining yourself with thoughts. And he's like, people are worried that, oh my God, do I then need to be like a monk and just meditate only? He says, no. When you don't think, you're much lighter. I get what he's saying. And you are then able to get things done that you need to. It almost sounds like snake oil, but I'm not against snake oil. I will listen to like books by life coaches and be like, this guy is more of a salesman than anything else. He's really selling whatever the heck he's selling over here. You can almost buy it. But I'll be like, I don't mind it because it's still keeping you in that upbeat mood. Sometimes you take your coping mechanisms however you can get them. If someone's going to take your mind off things for an hour, 2 hours, and they'll be trying to sell you something you're not going to buy, who cares? But I'm not saying this guy is selling anything. I'm just giving you an overall perception for me of this book. I wasn't super impressed, like how it's been so recommended online. I think it was recommended somewhere. I couldn't tell you half the time where the recommendations come from of all the books that I have saved, that I have piled up in the shelf and all kinds of things. I couldn't tell you. I'm surprised that I talked more than 10 minutes. I thought I was going to talk 2 minutes only about this particular book because of just how short it is. But maybe you don't have to be long-winded to make a point, which is shade that I throw to myself. So do I recommend it? Like I said, yes. And if you want to buy it on Amazon and you would like to kill two birds with the same breath, I'm going to include Amazon referral link of our store, our podcast here, so that whenever you purchase the book, we will get a cut from what Amazon would have been making. It's not money from you, it's money from Amazon. You know what I mean? It's from you, but you're not paying extra just because you went through this link. So feel free to use that. We will appreciate it. Speaking of monies and things, we have a Patreon. You can check that out too if you want. There's no pressure here to do any of this stuff. Feel free to join our eBay. Oh my God. Do you know, I'm so tired, dude. I just finished posting a podcast now, and I've been posting every single day since the month started. In fact, one day I posted twice just to catch everybody up, and I'm proud of how far I'm going. And today I was gonna just take a big chunk of the day off. I'm in bed as we speak with the heater on, and I'm under the blankets. It's Thursday, February 6, 2025, and it's 11:25. Oh, so yeah, I have eBay stores, which are the Lovely Brook, Tracker Brook, My Brook, and The Brook. But I wanted to say join our Facebook group at Babbling Brook Podcast. Our Instagram is Babbling Brook Podcast as well, and my own personal social media are at Babala Brook. Let me just go before, I don't know. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Let me know if you've checked this book out. I'll put the referral link in the description or in the show notes. Let me know if you've checked it out, even if it's not now, if you've read it before already. I want to hear your thoughts. And you're welcome to recommend in the Facebook group your own self-help. Oh my gosh, why is this so hard to say? I didn't even know this was hard for me to say. Your own self-help books that have made an impact in your life. Please share them on there, maybe under this podcast episode, because I try to post links to all of these podcasts on the Facebook group, so that when people join and come across them or listen to them, they can do their comments underneath that. Or start your own post, whatever. I don't even know how it really goes. Thank you. Let me get out of here. Toodles!